Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Tonight on Our News, another F&M MP enters the leadership race. Hundreds of promotions coming in the public service. Could heads roll after a woman is assaulted at a police station? And the fate of dome structures on Abaco. Welcome to Our News and thanks for joining us. I'm Christina Dragovich. Topping news tonight, East Grand Bahama Member of Parliament KWASI Thompson has announced he will run for leader of the Free National Movement. Thompson said in a statement today it was an honor to serve with Dr. Hubert Minnis, adding it is on his shoulders he now stands with gratitude. The former Minister of State said the F&M must unify behind a common purpose and shared goal, noting that there is much more that unites them than divides them. He said the party should develop a long-term national development plan that focuses on the coming decades and not just on 5-year cycles. Iram Lewis is also running for the top post at the party's convention next month. Last week, Dr. Minnis announced that he will not nominate for F&M leader. Well, over 600 public service workers are set to be promoted in the coming weeks, with more to follow. State Minister for the Public Service, GLOVER-ROLLE, says the promotions begin this week with 140 staffers in the Department of Immigration.
Immigrations is about 80% complete, so those letters are being released within this week. And of course, the other armed forces that we've spoken about. We have some others that are going to be released this week, but we're just waiting on the process to be complete, the letters to be taken care of, and then we will get those letters to their respective ministries, and the ministries will make the necessary announcement.
Promotions also include 184 within the Department of Correctional Services. Roll says some promotions were approved from 2017. However, she says it is unclear why those staffers weren't elevated.
Would have finished the 2017 service-wide promotions. Those promotions would have been approved since June of 2016. For whatever reason, they've been on hold up until I think it would have been the end of August, and there was started to be some movement on them, but of course it wasn't completed. So that is a few hundred, as I would have noted before, and then there were others that will come through other agencies as well.
In other news, someone will be held accountable after a woman in police custody at the South Beach police station was held in a cell with a man, resulting in her being indecently assaulted. A 32-year-old vagrant has admitted to the indecent assault of the 25-year-old woman who was detained on a traffic warrant. National Security Minister Wayne Munro says there are many questions that the officers at the station will have to answer.
I'd like to see the detention record to see if this officer has recorded time and time again that he checked on these two prisoners and they had no complaints. If that has occurred, then that would be another problem that the officer has to explain. The system will hold whoever is responsible to account, and these things must be explained.
National Security Minister Wayne Munro asserting there is nothing that calls for violence against a person, even if they have committed an offense. His comment follows a disturbing video which appears to show a plainclothes police officer choking a young woman. It prompted the minister and the Commissioner of Police to urge the individuals in the video to file a complaint. Kyle Joaquin reports.
There is nothing that calls for violence against a person, even if they have committed an offense.
In the video, you can see the plainclothes officer holding a young woman by her neck and pressing her against a car before spotting a person recording, then ordering the cell phone to be taken away. Our News understands the young woman at the center of the ordeal had hired an attorney and reportedly planned to meet with the Commissioner of Police this afternoon. It came after the video went viral and a call from both the Commissioner of Police and National Security Minister for there to be an official complaint made.
You have to have a complaint. Something can be on video, you have to have a complaint, you have to first validate the video, you have to make sure it's not photoshopped. Somebody has to come in and make a complaint, because just as citizens are entitled to due process, police officers are entitled to due process.
The video has since made the rounds on social media, with members of the public calling for the officer to be held accountable. The incident reportedly occurred late Saturday night. The question of excessive force has been a topic for conversation following a Supreme Court ruling where the police force was ordered to pay a man $82,000 for an officer wrongfully punching a man in his mouth twice, resulting in the loss of 9 teeth. That officer remains on the job.
The police could see you committing an offense. If you put up no resistance, there's no justification for violence. And so if you are in fact brought before the court, that is your time to complain.
With the topic of police brutality in news once again, Monroe says there needs to be changes, including making the punishment of these officers when they are found to be in the wrong public.
I would imagine it should be just like complaints before the Bar Ethics Committee and Disciplinary Tribunal. They may be private when they are allegation, when there's a conclusion. The conclusion, in my judgment, ought to be made public.
In the meantime, Monroe says he knows there are many other stories of interactions with officers, perhaps some recorded, that should be brought to the attention of the complaints section.
Once you have the material to show that there has been misfeasance, malfeasance by the police officers in any regard, you should make a complaint to Complaints and Corruption, and if it rises to the level of criminality, you should make a criminal complaint. If nothing happens, then that's an appropriate case to involve somebody at my level.
For Our News, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
State Minister in the Office of the Prime Minister, MYLES LARODA, says the domes on Abaco are in no state to be a permanent solution as they are in bad shape. LARODA says he visited Abaco last week and observed a lot of challenges, including sewers backed up and domes not attached to the foundation. However, he couldn't say what the government will do with them.
There were some challenges with electricity. There's definitely challenges with sewer backing up. There are complaints that the domes are not attached to the foundation. As for where the government goes, that's going to be a cabinet decision. I don't have anything definite on that. But I note the challenges of those people who are residing in those domes.
On Moores Island, he says it's a sad situation with residents using reclaimed wood to rebuild the dock themselves. He added a decision will have to be made on the dome soon.
Based on what you're seeing, would you recommend to Cabinet that that's something that stay in place?
Based on my conversation with some employees at the DRA, those domes were really supposed to be a stopgap measure maybe for a year and a half until affordable housing could be replaced. What I saw on the ground physically, I don't see how those domes could be a permanent solution to the housing needs.
A cooler evening in the capital. Greg Thompson is in the Weather Center with the latest.
Thanks, Christina, and a happy Tuesday evening, everybody. Nice conditions outside our studios right now as temperatures hanging out into the low 80s, 82 outside our studios under partly cloudy skies. We will call it mild. We have a light southwesterly wind flow at 5 knots and your feels like temperature in the mid 80s. On our satellite across the area, most of that moisture across our area now pushing out towards the east, but we still have a lingering boundary across the northwest Bahamas. Some isolated showers along that. We could see 1 or 2 more of those later on tonight through tomorrow. That's your first look at weather. Stick with us. More weather is still to come.
Still to come on Our News, officials hope to vaccinate half of the population this year. This as the health minister insists vaccinations are still voluntary at this time. Stay with us.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
Nearly 128,000 people are fully vaccinated. This is promising news for the Vaccine Committee, which is pushing to get 50% of the population vaccinated by year's end. Jillian Gray reports.
I'm hopeful, and I feel very encouraged, in fact, that hopefully by the end of the year, we can get closer to the 200,000 number of fully vaccinated people.
While he's pleased that over 30% of the population is fully vaccinated, National COVID-19 Vaccine Consultative Committee Deputy Chair Ed Field says they're pushing to get that number to 50% by year's end.
By the end of November, I anticipate we could be very easily close to 160,000 plus, which now means that we've only got 30,000, 40,000 more folks to fully vaccinate to get to that 200,000 mark. 200,000 means we are at 50% of our total population.
At present, 32% of Bahamians and residents are fully vaccinated and 33% have had at least one dose of the vaccine. Still, the Bahamas is behind its neighbors, ranking 20th of 25 countries tracked on PAHO's vaccine website. While vaccine supply has been a challenge in the past, Field says they've overcome that hurdle, at least for now.
We have passed that, and I'm fairly confident that in the next several weeks we will be getting a larger tranche of Pfizer in. And so I think that for the time being, our supply problem is not as big an issue as it has been in the past. So.
Now, while it's all quiet here at the Kendall Isaacs Gym, just over a week ago, this center was fraught with challenges. Some residents had to wait up to 3 hours just to get a vaccine, leaving many of them frustrated with the process. Field says those challenges had nothing to do with their procedures.
The same scenario you see today is the scenario you saw those other days. What happened in those days was, as people began to worry about supply, we ended up having people come to the centers without appointments, et cetera, et cetera.
Reporting for our news, I'm Jillian Gray.
Vaccination against COVID-19 will remain voluntary in the Bahamas at this time, according to Health Minister Dr. Michael Darville, who says government's goal is to get as many people vaccinated as possible.
We have a goal, and our goal is to get as many people vaccinated as we possibly can. But again, as it stands right now, the vaccination process is voluntary, and we've made a commitment to the Bahamian people that would stay in that position at this time.
More than 255,000 Bahamians and residents have received at least one dose of the COVID-19 vaccine so far, leaving the number of fully vaccinated people still short of the 85% recommendation for herd immunity. Several family islands are battling virus outbreaks and clusters.
We know we have one in Inagua. We had one in Meguana that is resolved, to my understanding. We have clusters in Eleuthera. We have a small cluster in San Salvador. And the Bahamian people must realize that COVID is absolutely not going anywhere. It is the way how we control it.
Free COVID testing has been introduced on Inagua and will be offered in Eleuthera and the Berry Islands beginning tomorrow. However, Dr. Darville says some COVID-positive Bahamians may be seeking medical help too late.
It's important to respond quickly when you start to develop signs, because with COVID, like I've said before, sometimes you think you're actually better than you are. And when you get to the hospital, you begin to realize how sick you are when all of the blood investigations are done.
Meanwhile, 130,000 COVID-19 vaccines donated from the United States are expected in early November. However, the health minister declined to give an exact date. Dr. Darville also telling reporters that local health officials are watching developments in the United States and the world when it comes to vaccinating children ages 5 through 11 and will follow the guidelines if kids are approved for the jab.
If that happens and the international community begin, we will follow suit, because we want to open our schools. We want to make sure that our kids are safe. We know exactly what unvaccination means, and if there is an opportunity for our children to be vaccinated, and with the support of their parents, of course, we're prepared to follow suit.
The United States Food and Drug Administration met today to determine the safety and efficacy of Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine for young kids.
It's now time for tonight's Financial Market Minute, brought to you by RF, your local investment bank. This has been your Financial Market Minute. To explore the best performing mutual funds in the Bahamas, visit our website at www.rfgroup.com.
When our news returns, a former F&M deputy applauds Dr. Hubert Minnis' decision to step aside, and the Mingos are Florida bound. The details when our news returns.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
This is our news. Welcome back. Days after Dr. Hubert Minnis' emotional speech to F&M supporters, former deputy leader LARODA Butler-Turner says the decision was the right one, adding the F&M has a lot to do as it seeks to rebuild. Bethany McDermott reports.
On the heels of Dr. Hubert Minnis' announcement that he will not be nominated for leader of the F&M, former deputy leader LARODA Butler-Turner says it was the right move. However, she thinks the decision didn't come willingly.
I believe that if the current leader had intended to step down, those thoughts would have been said earlier, immediately after the election. So I think I think there must have been some strong-handedness in getting him to get to that position. Do I think it's the right thing? It's absolutely the right thing, because the election clearly was an indictment against the leadership of Minnis.
In an emotional address to party supporters Sunday, the F&M leader announced he will not run for leader at the convention in November. He said he will, however, continue to support the official opposition in whatever capacity he is asked to serve in. Back in 2016, Butler-Turner replaced Dr. Minnis as leader of the official opposition. Butler-Turner said the group of F&M MPs, often referred to as the Rebel Seven, felt he was not fit to lead.
I think that for the 9 years that Hubert Minnis actually led the Free National Movement, there has been a very deep erosion of the ethos of the party.
Butler-Turner says whoever is elected leader of the F&M after that convention in November must be able to multitask. She said they won't only be tasked with rebuilding the F&M, but they will have to be an effective opposition.
They're going to have to demonstrate a lot of agility, the ability to multitask, and certainly to build relationships where they can delegate responsibilities to various people to ensure that they are a strong opposition.
The former Long Island Member of Parliament previously said she would not return to the party under the current leadership. Now that the party's leadership is about to change, we asked her if she would consider it.
I think at the end of the day, it's very clear that I have no desire to be involved in frontline politics any longer. So, you know, my thrust as an individual truly is about ensuring that the Bahamas gets to where it needs to be.
Reporting for our news, I'm Bethany McDermott.
Game 1 of the World Series set for tonight, and the Mingos soccer team is headed to Florida. Marcellus Hall has that tonight in sports.
All right, thanks, Christina, and welcome to our sports, everybody. I'm Marcellus Hall. Well, I don't know where you're going to be tonight, this evening, when Game 1 of the World Series gets going, but I certainly will be watching, because as an Atlanta Braves fan, I'm hoping that we can get this one done. That being said, it is time for the World Series tonight as Major League Baseball showcases its championship series between the Atlanta Braves and the Houston Astros. Let's set you up now for the series. Game 1 of the World Series comes your way this evening. The Atlanta Braves, finishing the year 88 and 73, were first in the National League East. They traveled to Houston, who finished the year 95 and 67, first in the AL West. Two teams unlikely to have been here, but yet here they are. Squaring off this evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. For the Braves, Charlie Morton will be on the mound. He's been averaging a 3.59 ERA throughout the course of the year. Meanwhile, on the mound for Houston will be Framber Valdez. 3.14 on the season so far in the postseason. Looking pretty good. Both teams hoping to take an all-important 1-0 lead in the best-of-7 series. Meanwhile, the UB Mingos soccer team is expected to play a series of matches this week against the Johnson University Suns in Orlando, Florida. It will be the second set of matches for the team in almost 2 years. The matches are set for Thursday and Friday. The Mingos dropped 2 matches 2 weekends ago to the Suns and are looking to make improvements. Team captain Julio Jemison said the team is already making improvements.
The games coming up next week, I'm expecting a lot better results. We'll have an extra body on team. That should make a difference in midfield. And yeah, it's good things to come. I feel from here it's just up to go, because the guys are very excited to be playing soccer again. It's always good to see.
And there it is, your check on sports for you here on this Tuesday. We'll give you full details of tonight's Game 1, as well as anything else you may need to know from a local sports standpoint, all coming up here on our TV. Marcellus Hall, back to you.
Thanks, Marcellus. Still ahead, Social Services takes over food distribution on Grand Bahama. Find out more after this.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
Welcome back to our news. Some sunny days ahead. Greg is back in the Weather Center.
Thanks again, Christina. Welcome back, everybody, for your second look at weather. Weak boundary hanging out across the northwest Bahamas with some isolated showers associated with that. That will continue to pull out towards the east. That's all attached to a deep low pressure system off the United States, the north coast, and the National Hurricane Center watching that for possible formation over the next couple of days. Has a medium chance. It's a non-tropical low right now, and it will continue to pull out towards the east and into the open Atlantic. Storm system taking shape across the central portions of the United States. Should get near by the weekend. That's ushering some nice weather and some breezy conditions for the weekend. Of course, the tropics quiet, and tropical cyclone formation is not expected through the next 5 days. Beaching and boating forecast for all areas tonight through tomorrow. Your winds will be out of the southwest to west at 10 to 15 knots. They will fall light and variable at times. Seas will be running 2 to 4 feet. Tide is presently low, will be high at 12:35 in the morning. Here's a look now at your national forecast. A look now at your extended forecast through Sunday. That's a look at our weather. Make it a safe evening, everybody. Christina.
Thanks, Greg. Well, the Department of Social Services on Grand Bahama has assumed responsibility for the final distribution of food coupons for the National Feeding Program. Acting Deputy Director Charlemagne Fernander says those in the Social Services Food Assistance Program do not qualify.
The reason for that is that social services clients receive coupons at the end of every month. They would have last received assistance at the end of September. They will again at the end of October, etc. And the attempt now is to provide assistance to other persons who have not been able to access the food that they need through social services program as yet.
Since its inception, the program has been extended several times. Distribution will take place at the 8 Mile Rock Gym or the St. George's Gym. Officials are hoping to complete the process by early December.
We've organized it in an alphabetical order for your surnames. Those with surnames A to H are expected to present on the 25th to the 26th. On Wednesday, October 27th, we're doing I to M. Thursday, October 28th, surnames N to R. And on Friday, October 29th, surnames S to Z. We're asking that when you present, you bring your NIB card, please.
Well, thank you for joining us for our news tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Christina Dragovich. We'll see you right back here tomorrow night. Have a beautiful evening, Bahamas.